Good morning, everyone, and welcome to nasscom AI's Grand Challenge edition. So in this AI for Business Grand Challenge edition, we're bringing this in partnership with IBM, which is our technology partner. And I have a group of senior executives from IBM who are going to help you in understanding what this Grand Challenge is all about and what is in store for you as startups and ISVs. So let me quickly introduce you to the panel. We have with us Ms. Geeta Gurnani, who is a pioneer in technology and has over 25 years of experience in technology, serving multiple industries across several domains, right from the pre-sales technical to architect solutions lead, business development, and business strategy. She is currently the Chief Technology Officer and Technical Sales Leader at IBM Technology for India and South Asia. I also have with me Debasish Roy, who is a Chief Technology Officer Ecosystem for APAC and is responsible for helping drive IBM's growth in the region through its partners. So he works closely with both the partner-facing teams as well as product development team to implement solutions that embed IBM's groundbreaking new technologies in AI, automation, security, and hybrid cloud. We also have with us Anindya. Anindya is a technical leader for IBM Worldwide Ecosystem Engineering Team, which works with partners to embed IBM technologies in enterprise AI solutions. He has a PhD in computer science from Stony Brook University in New York and has worked at IBM Research, IBM Software, and has co-founded an AI startup and has been an associate professor at BITS Pilani. We will also be joined by Sunil shortly. And Sunil Mahajan is a senior executive with over 25 years of experience in helping customers achieve success by leveraging collaboration and power of partnerships. So having lived and worked in the UK, Europe, and the Middle East, he brings with him a unique blend of diverse multicultural experience, has a proven track record of building multifunctional and motivated teams and partnerships to achieve success. He's currently the director for ecosystem, IBM India and South Asia. Okay, so I welcome you all, and I'll hand it over to Deepak from the IBM team, and who will start the proceedings from IBM, wherein the panel would explain to you about the IBM technologies, how you can leverage them for your success. Over to you.
Thank you, Madhav. So what we want to do today actually is essentially give you guys, everyone, a warm welcome, first of all, for the AI for Business Grand Challenge. Thank you for being part of it and expressing your interest to kind of build for AI for business. And we are going to try and do a couple of things. One is give you an idea of what is AI for business and how we as IBM see it and why it is important to build AI differently for business and enterprise considerations. And that is something that we will have Geeta Gurnani, who is our CTO for IBM India, South Asia, set that context. Following which we will have Deb, who is our CTO for the IBM APAC team, give you more of an idea of what we as IBM have as offerings in this space as well, right? So one of the key elements, of course, is going to be for you to try out some of the offerings we have. We are very keen to see how some of these new offerings, especially in the generative AI space, can do different things when we work with partners like yourself, right? And that's really the intent of doing a grand challenge like this, because we all know this is a new space. It's evolving very fast, and it's only with collaboration and innovation jointly that we'll come up with new ideas that will serve our customers and the world in general. So that is something that they will give you an idea of what are those offerings are. And followed by a bit of a demo of what our platform is, right? So we have a few different platforms for you to try out. And of course, it is also all going to be on IBM Cloud. So that is something that we will be sharing, and Anindya will walk you through the different ways of using that, learning how our offerings work and so on. And then finally, we'll have Sunil outline for you what is the benefits of being part of this challenge and how we can help work together and actually accelerate both the adoption of AI in the market as well as drive for greater benefit for each other. So
more than happy. Firstly, yes, thank you very much for joining in. This is really a first of a kind for from an IBM perspective as well as nasscom. So thank you for the collaboration to begin with. I also wanted to Obviously, I don't want to spill the beans right now and tell you what the benefits are and what the awards are and the rewards are. But I'll tell you, this is very exciting. It's got a lot of interest, definitely from an IBM perspective internally, and I really do believe that the whole impetus that this is going to create is going to generate a lot of new ideas, new innovation. Creativity is the name of the game, right? We are in the world of AI, and ChatGPT is just what everybody knows. That's the Netscape moment, right? But the fact of the matter is there are so many use cases out there yet to be discovered, and this is a platform for you to take this opportunity with both your hands and go forward.
From something called Deep Blue, which some of you may be aware of, which we beat Gary Kasparov, who was a great reigning chess champion, to a few years later where we launched Watson, where we beat the reigning champion for Jeopardy, which was really one of the key moments where AI started becoming a lot more mainstream instead of being an unachievable goal and the work of science fiction. And now, of course, we've now reached a whole different era of generative AI, and part of what we want to talk about is the different approach that we are taking to how this is going to impact our world. Geeta, I'll pass it back to you. You can just continue from here on, please.
Yeah, so let's go to the next. This is probably one of the favorite statement for everybody's benefit that I think our sales leader used and our CEO used, which we say that AI is actually having Netscape moment. And let me elaborate a bit that what do I mean by that? That what internet or what Netscape really did to internet, which means it brought it to life for everybody, right? Which means it became more understandable, more usable, more consumable by everybody. So in a way, Netscape sort of democratized the access to internet, right? Probably we are at an inflection point in AI now that what foundation models will bring as an business advantage to AI, and probably AI, thanks to the generative AI, and of course we can't shy away from naming ChatGPT also, which brought AI very, very consumable, democratized, and everybody started to see it in the light, saying that, it's applicable in my industry, it's applicable in my industry. Everybody got that clarity, right? So I think we all believe that foundation model will bring a new life to AI, let me put it that way, and we'll probably move to solve real business problems now and complex business problems, right? I think the use of AI has been so far in the entry level business process, let me call that way. We were using as a customer service chatbots, we were trying to do few automation tasks. But now when I talk to few CXOs, they clearly say that now we are actually thinking of how to further automate automation using the foundation models, right? So we will see a lot of change which generative AI will bring in. But I think what will stay as a number one challenge, and probably we will look up to you folks who are on the call today, or probably who will be listening to this briefing, because I'm given understanding that not everybody is on the call today, that how will you make it relevant to the enterprises, right? And how will enterprises deal with their own challenges of their data privacy, their security, and other stuff, right? So the real value in terms of solving the business problem will heavily depend on how enterprises will adopt, consume, and be ready to take the foundation models and generative AI or AI in the business part of it, right? And actually reinvent completely that what gets done work in the different industry, different domains, which is what we call, let's say, when we have a lot of digital labor, let me just use that word at a lack of any other word, or the people who are doing a lot of mundane tasks, to IT automation, to cyber security. Because I was in one of the conversation in cybersecurity where people were saying that will generative AI will be used by hackers, or will it be used by the one who are going to protect it? So I think it's a race between those two, saying that who is going to really outperform other, and both are going to use it, right? So it's going to be really challenging in terms of how the adoption will happen. But yes, everybody is going to adopt it, right? If you go to the next slide, this essentially means that we will move from a plus AI to AI plus for business. Let me just keep re-emphasizing it for business, because I sometimes say that, yeah, we don't want to compete really with the consumer facing generative AI apps, because we are actually not in the business of writing poems or essays or all of that, right? We are in the business as an IBM, we are in the business of solving the hardcore business issues of enterprises, and we want to stay as a custodian of data of enterprises, right? So it will be a lot more interesting to see that how we will apply AI for solving the real business problem. And why don't we just peel the onion of this plus AI to AI plus a bit more? If we go to the next slide, Deepak. Yeah. So I think it's a good ladder to follow and think through. And you are all the, what should I say? You guys are the business startups, and you know what business problems you are trying to solve. And I think I always have a due and a lot of deep respect for startups, because you are actually after solving few business problems, which probably the large enterprises or broader product range are not solving, because broader products become a little bit generic. But I think what you guys trying to do is to go after a specific problem in a specific industry and solve it, right? So for all of you, this becomes even more critical, saying that how can you keep bringing efficiency, right, from what role AI was playing for you a couple of years back, or maybe till recently, where you were just trying to add a part of AI into your application, part of automation in your workflow. But now, can you leverage generative AI, which will give you so many capabilities that it will sort of completely eliminate the issue of actually having the human intervention in the mundane task or the task which are workflow tasks, right? And I was actually in conversation with one of the customer service head recently, and I was asking him that what is your expectation that they are doing a bit of email automation already, so they would just have the email assist, which reads few of the emails and just responds to those emails saying that my executive will get back, or if it's a very simple query, then they will just send the bill or something, if that is the ask in the email, right? But the minute it gets into the complex domain of complex questions, then I think the only thing the email assist does that it says that, okay, we'll get back to you. Okay. But his expectation was, as a customer service head, that if I can give a remedy to the complex issues which customer service receives, which are not too many in volumes, but at the same time, they consume significant of the time when they come in, right? So those are the things which probably the business owners are now thinking, saying that I was using AI as an intervention in the simpler processes, but how will I use it in the complex process and try to automate those complex processes so that I make AI work for me, right? So that's what we say when we say AI does the work, right? Let's go to the next slide. Right. So it's a massive early adoption, and I think in last 2 months or maybe 6 to 8 weeks, every CXO, CIO, company, startup, partner I have met, the one thing I hear in common is that everybody says that I am creating a board strategy on Gen AI for my CEO. My business leader wants to know that what can I do on AI, right, or on generative AI part of it. So as I said, it's a Netscape moment, and everybody is really looking into saying that how can they adopt generative AI and transform the businesses, right? And look at the middle column where we are talking about it could actually raise our global GDP by 7% within 10 years, which is a massive, massive impact of a technology on business, right? So it's an opportunity. And as we get through the nasscom and IBM Grand Challenge, which you all are participating, I think we are very keen to see that what are those business problems which you think will bring an impact at scale. And that scale, of course, which better country than India, because India is all about scale, right? So we need to be solving the problems which can impact the masses, which can really help enterprises to solve the problems at scale, right? So this is actually really helping us to accelerate the overall AI journey. But let's think a little bit in the enterprise consideration, right? So let's go to the next slide and see that while we hear from everybody that everybody wants to do the work in AI, they're making the board strategies, consultants are overall making the strategies that where should enterprises invest, but there are concerns. Okay, it's not that it's a concerns free area and everybody is just adopting, right? I think the four broad category which at least we as a IBM have been witnessing, and you can see the statistics shows that how every business leader is also concerned about the outcome of adopting AI, right? And let me pick one example and talk about it. And it's a very real example because I was with one of the bank who do the credit rating using the AI, and we were actually asking them that tomorrow if RBI comes out with a rule saying that, okay, explain me how did you reach to this decision, because it's about explainability and audit. Today in the manual world also, RBI goes and do the audits, right, of the decision making process. But if my machine is taking decision on my behalf, then how do I ensure that it's a explainable, it's a auditable model, right? So that's seen as one of the key challenge when machines will start to take a lot of decision, that can I backtrack to my decision making, to my data, to my data lineage part of it. So I think explainability is one of the biggest factor everybody is worried about, because you are now relying on machines to take decisions, right? So the decision should be transparent if somebody asks and talks about the decision making process or the model traceability, as we call, right? The ethics, the bias part, and the trust part, I think we all are mostly aware. I think bias stays as a very big concern, saying that what data am I using? Is it bias free? It is really having biases in the decision making process, right? Ethics, I think you can say that it's a very high level conversation, but trust me, I think it is taking sleep away from many people. And why don't I talk about IBM only as a client zero? Because we as IBM are actually using AI in many of our products, right? And we need to stay ethical, saying that from where are we sourcing the data, which are those open source which we are taking, which are the data which might have the copyright issues, and how am I really using my customer information, all of that part, right? So early on, maybe again ahead of time, 3-4 years back, IBM actually established IBM Ethics Board for IBM's own internal use, saying that how we are ethically using the AI into our various products and various business problems we are trying to solve. And I think this is now a boardroom conversation saying that, okay, let's adopt generative AI, but what's the governance framework around it, right? So it's an important aspect. And these are the four top challenges which we saw were very relevant in the context of enterprise, right? So how is IBM really trying to solve this problem? Let's go to the next slide. So most of you are aware, early in the May in our flagship event, Think, we announced our platform Watson X, which Deb and Anindya are going to talk in little more detail and demo you. Watson X platform, which is a data and AI platform, was, and of course supports generative AI, was launched keeping these concerns in mind, which means we wanted to bring four aspects. I'm having an echo. Is anybody
Yeah,
change
no,
the setting?
we are hearing an echo. I'm not sure why, but
Yeah. So the four tenets, as I call them, or core principles from an IBM standpoint, and how are we approaching this for enterprises? And we have embedded each one of this in our product. Okay. Which means we are not saying that, okay, don't be a simple prompter. Okay. Just go and tweak the model, but also be the value creator in the whole LLM domain or in the whole generative AI domain. So we have launched the product, and as I said, I would want Dave to double down on that product part of it, which is more open, more targeted to the enterprises. It's trusted and it's very empowering. Now, how do we do each one of this? It's actually through the various aspects or features of the tools which we have. We have WatsonX.ai, which is for model building, operations part of it. We have WatsonX.data, which is more for the the data fabric part of it, how will we manage data? And then we have the .governance, which actually is around the governance and the regulation part of it. So these 4 tenets I want you to keep in mind, because as you build the solutions for enterprises, these will become the key tenet for you to take care, right? Let's go to the next slide. So this brings me to the last slide. And before I hand over to Dave, is that, see, these are few, what should I say, trailblazer customers and ISVs who have adopted IBM embeddable AI platform, Watson X platform. I would also want to mention one of the biggest ISV, which is not on this slide, which is SAP, that now SAP has IBM's embeddable AI as part of their AI engine, core engine in SAP. I would only want to say here to all the startups who are on the call or who will be listening the call later on, that we would love to see your logo, your description as a case study for us, and very keen to partner with you, help you, and drive this technology. And as we say, AI for business, driven through ethics, trust, and governance part of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Geeta covered the whole AI for business, the focus of business of AI from an IBM's perspective on the business and not necessarily the consumer part. So some of the slides may be a little repetitive, so I will quickly go through them and then focus more on the new platform that we have announced recently. So just going from the opportunity point of view that Geeta mentioned, right? I mean, some of the metrics that we have is like the AI adoption itself has doubled in the last 5 years. So which essentially means that it's not just a conversation anymore. Our customers and partners are actually investing their time and money in terms of actually deploying AI within their processes, within their solutions. And our service industries are actually creating new practices around AI that they are going after. So it's very much real, it's now, and IBM is one of the leaders within this technology, right? Now, when we talk about AI, there are few areas where we are seeing the adoption happen more and more, right? Obviously, if you listen to any of the CEOs and the leaders today, productivity is the top of the mind for everyone. And employee productivity is one area that everybody is doubling down on. And within that, if you look at the customer service area or the IT processes area are some of the initial areas that we are targeting as far as AI implementation is concerned, right? Now, why is this happening? And the essential thing is that to think about data, right? I mean, there is no AI story without data. And if you think about the data that exists in businesses that are, whether it's the sensor data, whether it is the geospatial data or cybersecurity data, it's just waiting there to be unleashed. And the difference is understanding the value of this data and building domain-specific enterprise-ready AI foundation models that are really going to differentiate themselves in the market. So let's look at some of the basics, right? Now, if you look at the traditional AI models, what was to happen is that we used to identify a specific task against which we used to go and collate the data, train the data, qualify the data and all, and then ultimately deliver that specific task. So essentially, there were individual siloed models which required those specific training, and it used to require a lot of human supervised vision, right? And all of that changed with the introduction of the foundation models. Now, as Geeta was mentioning, foundation models is not necessarily new. It's actually came out of Stanford University, and IBM has been doing work around this for last several years. But what it has helped us to do is essentially take these massive pre-trained models on unlabeled data and then quickly adapt it to your enterprise needs with much less set of your specific data sets that you have, and then enhance the capabilities that was not necessarily available before. What it essentially means is that we have much lesser upfront cost. We can deploy these models to the market faster with much better accuracy and incremental revenue value. So that's what has really been the differentiation from what the AI world has been doing so far, and with the introduction of these foundation models. And that's why we are calling it as an inflection point. So some of the areas where we see the generative AI tasks happen are all around, summarization, which is some of the things that Geeta again mentioned in terms of email, which is around the classification part, or in terms of the extraction of unstructured data and driving insights around that. And obviously we have the very basic Q&A kind of a situation where you ask a query and then something like virtual assistant and others are responding to your questions. So we looked at those opportunities. Now, what are the enterprise considerations? And here Geeta mentioned about those challenges that are there, right? But the key thing is to figure out how to create that competitive advantage. And here it's essential to know that you are the master of your business, you know who you are and whom you serve, and therefore you need to have the control of how you are customizing your AI models so that it is more and more relevant and have a differentiating factor in the market against your competitors. And that's something you need to understand. You need to build your AI strategy around that, and you need to drive your AI strategy based on your business strategy and obviously the data strategy that you build, right? Now, the second area is how to scale your AI across the business. Like if you look at the data today, it's all encompassing, right? And it's in multiple, whether it's some of them may be on-prem, some of them are in cloud, several clouds, even in the edge. How do you make sure that you are able to harness the power of all of that data together and not just necessarily pieces of that data? And in doing so, how you are ensuring that you kind of take care of deduplication and things like that, right? And finally, the piece that Geeta mentioned about is around the trustworthiness of AI, right? Because it is significant to understand that more and more regulations are going to come in. Most of the companies, countries around the world are going to bring in more and more regulations. How you stay ahead of those in ensuring that you are always in compliant. Otherwise, this can lead to significant fine and audits and all kind of issues, leading to even brand impact, right? And which is a key area of focus for most of the executives. So let me introduce Watson X, which was a platform that we announced in our flagship Think in May. What essentially Watson X does is helps you scale and accelerate the impact of AI with trusted data. As Geeta was mentioning, it's an AI and data platform which has three key components. One is the WatsonX.ai, which is a studio that clients can use to train and validate the machine learnings, as well as the foundation models. Like these models, which combine the best of the breed architectures, as follows through acquisition, provenance, and quality, which are part of the governance part that Geeta mentioned, right? WatsonX.data makes it possible to scale and the AI workloads using all their data with a fit-for-purpose data lakehouse service, optimized for your data as well as the AI workloads. This is again based on open source technologies, including Presto and Iceberg. WatsonX.governance helps in companies to put the AI into production by providing an end-to-end solution that encompasses both data and AI governance to enable responsible, transparent, and explainable workflows. So it's very easy to remember. It's a platform for AI and data with three key components. One is the studio part, which is the AI, the data part, which has a fit-for-purpose enterprise-grade lakehouse to support your AI architecture, and then obviously the all-encompassing governance around both the AI and the data. So let's go a little deeper on each of these components. So WatsonX.ai helps you train, validate, and tune your data models and deploy them in the production. It essentially competes. There are three main components as part of WatsonX.ai. The foundation model libraries, and this includes IBM's own foundation models, along with several well-known models like Codex or GPT or Clan and things like that. The second part is the prompt lab, which is a way of helping the model to be more accurate and precise in its response by providing some user input. It also allows you to sample prompts, and the studio helps you to use different type of prompts and different models to get the best results. But understand that prompt lab and the prompt engineering is not necessarily just a science, but it's an art. And obviously it requires practice in terms of what exactly will lead you to more accuracy, better results with the right kind of prompts. And finally, we have the tuning studio, which allows you to fine-tune the foundation models through changing the various parameters or providing additional data to further train the model. Obviously, we continue to have all the basic support for the ML models, including the data science and ML ops, and all of that are part of this studio. In terms of the watsonx.data, as I said, it's a single window to get access to all your data very quickly. But most importantly, what you need to understand that it allows you to optimize your workloads and selecting the right engine for your workload at the right cost. And in cases, we have seen that you can actually save your data warehouse by up to 50%. And most importantly, as I said, it has a shared metadata layer, and it allows you to connect to any data source and give access to all your data across hybrid cloud through a single point of entry. And then essentially what it means that you do not have to spend time accessing all these data sources, but you can get access to those within minutes, but with built-in governance, with built-in security and automation capabilities. And finally, the watsonx.governance part, which allows you to operationalize your AI using automated GRC tools, which is around governance, risk, and compliance, for scalability, for transparent processes, and explainable model outcomes. It also ensures you that the AI models are behaving with fairness, accuracy, providing ethical outcomes to avoid the loss of reputation, audits, and fines. And also it allows you to automate the translation of AI regulations, because as I mentioned, these regulations will keep coming more and more, but you can always stay ahead of the game by automating those regulations into enforceable standards and policies for audit and compliance. So those are the key areas that governance will help you with. So how does this watsonx fit into IBM's technology landscape? As you all know, IBM has been the first one to talk about hybrid cloud, right? Before anyone actually mentioned hybrid cloud, IBM was the leader in that and came up with that strategy almost 6 to 7 years back. And today it's a done deal. Everyone agrees that no one will use one public cloud or, and everybody will be either multi-cloud or cloud as well as something on-prem and things. So the hybrid cloud strategy is a given today. And watsonx platform actually sits on our hybrid cloud strategy. And on top of that, we will have all the various AI products that IBM is delivering today. And I'll talk to some of those products as we proceed. But key thing to notice here is that we are working with partners like you across this whole strategy, whether it is our infrastructure, where we have partnerships with the hyperscalers like AWS or Azure, whether it is in our platform, or whether in terms of delivering the products and solutions that you are building on top of this platform. So how do you consume these models, right? And how do clients and partners work with these foundation models? Now, you can either build your own models, or you can use the IBM models along with some open source models. And IBM has partnered with Hugging Face to bring in the open source models that are available there. And it allows you to then try, tune, build, and evaluate those models and deploy on any cloud. Again, another significant piece which differentiates IBM's platform is that the ability to deploy on any cloud that you are building with this platform. Now, along with the foundation models and the generative AI capabilities, IBM continues to support you with the embeddable AI, which essentially is a combination of offerings that we have for enterprise-grade capabilities and that are fit for your business to drive and allow your developers to quickly embed them in your solutions, right? And the key thing again is that these have been designed with trust from ground up, and so essentially ready for enterprise consumption. These are again available in multiple form factors. This is how you can consume our AI, either as an application that you embed within your solutions, or you can look at the APIs, which gets you quick access to try out things and then further delve into the details. Or if you need more control over your AI model and you want to customize the way things work, you can actually embed the libraries themselves within your application and containerize it and deploy it within your solution. So let's look at some of the products that IBM itself is using as part of the Watson X platform, right? Watson Orchestrate, which is our tool that harnesses automation and allows you to free up individuals from tedious tasks. We have actually deployed it in a couple of instances. And in fact, within IBM, we have deployed this, and especially on the HR area. And we have seen productivity improvement around 40% and higher, right? Watson Assistant, which is our virtual agent to deliver consistent and intelligent customer care. Again, multiple examples across the world where we are working with our partners and customers with Watson Assistant and seeing great results in terms of accuracy and the time that it's saving for their, not just customer support, but in terms of improving their net promoter score or net satisfaction with their customers, right? Watson Code Assistant is one of the latest product offerings that we have, which is actually allowing developers to act as a co-pilot for their development journey and suggest codes that they can leverage as part of their coding and implementation. So with that, let's look at some of the use cases where we are seeing the high impact of AI, right? So we talked about the 3 areas that came out of our survey. Obviously, productivity is one key area, which essentially aligns with the talent. And we are seeing that in terms of HR, talent acquisition, performance management, there is a huge impact of AI that is happening today. Obviously, customer service continues to be at the front end of this, and there are multiple use cases in terms of virtual assistant, agent assist, and all kind of use cases that are being deployed. And last but not the least, but which I think will gain more and more traction as we move along, is the app modernization. We are still having a lot of customers which has legacy applications, which are in things like mainframe and things like that. And we are seeing how we can move them and modernize them at a much faster pace than what we have been doing so far. And that's one key area that we are seeing take more and more traction. Again, this is just some of the examples, just to let you know that, I mean, across domains, across industries, we are looking at or working with our customers in terms of the use cases, like whether it be it marketing, be it supply chain, be it asset management. In fact, within our product development, we are now seeing a lot of use of AI as part of the whole development process and increasing the productivity within the development timeframe and getting the products much faster to the market. So here are some of the examples. Geeta mentioned about SAP, one of the largest ISVs whom we are working with. But here are some of the other cool examples. I mean, if you have seen Wimbledon, most of the information and video clips that you see as part of the narrations for the fans are actually driven by Watson X platform. We work with NASA, another great example in terms of for their text and sensor data, how to drive insights, how to enable the models to detect natural hazards and all of that. So, I mean, with IBM, we have the enterprise base, and that allows us to work with some of the most complex and difficult challenges that are there today. And that's one area where we are leveraging Watson X platform to drive those solutions. And what better way to say that, how can we drink our own champagne and make use of what we are telling the world to do, right? And these are some of the data points that I wanted to put it out there in terms of whether it's our customer satisfaction, NPS score, reinventing HR support, or digitizing our supply chain. In each of these areas, there are projects and initiatives happening across IBM as we are ourselves transforming into this whole digitization world. So with that, let me reiterate those 4 point of views that Geeta mentioned and how IBM differentiates itself in the AI journey for business. Obviously, we believe that one model will not rule. And instead of one model, it is better to address your use cases and performance needs from many models. And therefore, IBM models are open source, based on open source models. And as you can participate in the creation process, you also can bring in your own models in this platform, right? Because one size does not necessarily fit all, we are building a families of foundation models of different sizes and architecture, because we also believe that you may get to the same accuracy with much lesser size and compute than you necessarily need from one size like ChatGPT, which is based on billions of tokens, right? And so what essentially it means that you do not have to spend so much money when you can do it much lesser and get to the same results. And the foundation models, which are very specific to the domain and the industries, can help you do that. Trusted, yes, because as we said, we have our own ethics board that goes through all our models and then allows it to be vetted through legal and other means, and then only then deployed as part of our workbench. Targeted, because we are focused on business and we are, of course, for the enterprise world. It's not part of the B2C. So we are not focused on the poetry and other stuff, but rather how to solve the business problems. And obviously, this is where the empowering part comes in, because it is for partners like you who are going to create the value, not just the users, right? And this allows you to be in control of your data, because that's how you are building the differentiation of your model against your competitors. And that's one key aspect to keep in mind as we work through this journey. So with that, let me hand it over to Anindya and back to Deepak to take you through the demo of Watson X and some of the embeddable AI platform that we have.
Thank you, Deb. I see there have been some questions about how to access Watson X. So, a couple of things. One is you will see on the Grand Challenge website a link on how to claim cloud credits. That's the environment. Watson X offerings are available on IBM Cloud. And the cloud credits is what you will use for developing your application or POC that we as part of the Grand Challenge. But additionally, Anindya will also now walk you through a couple of things which are about how to try out some of the things that Dave was talking about, right? So one is on the embeddable AI. So he will show you how to do use the embeddable AI as part of your experience, just to get a taste of what these offerings are without wasting your credits. The second one that Anindya will also show you is how to sign up for the free Watson X trial. Again, it'll give you a taste of some of the ways that you can try out Watson X. And finally, of course, how to once you get the cloud credits, how to actually use some of the environment. So I hope these questions will be answered as part of this as we go along. Anindya, over to you. And we can see your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Deepak, and hope my voice is all clear.
Yep, all good.
Yeah, great, and good to be in this forum. I remember a few years back, I used to be on the other side as a startup in nasscom, and I exactly understand what you guys are looking at in terms of how you kind of use some of these big tech AI platforms and trying to build enterprise solutions out of it. So great to be here. So let me walk you through a few things. I'll start off with, so we talked a lot about embeddable AI, foundation models, and generative AI, and so on. Foundation models are not dramatically something new. When even a few years back, when we have been working with some of the models, and we heard about Watson, what was beating Jeopardy and Deep Blue and so on. So that technology has taken the form factor of libraries and models that we have actually used for quite a few years. You have heard about BERT, etc., which are essentially small foundation models. What has happened over last probably several months is people understanding how to put very large language models to use. So a good starting point for me in this discussion to show you things is, let's start with some of the smaller models. Libraries that actually came out of the Watson platform. These are Watson core libraries, which are available for you to use and embed. how do you work with them, pre-trained or fine-tune them, and then I'll walk you over to the new platform, Watson X, where you can then start playing with much larger models. So this is a portal which I will use, which a lot of the IBM folks use and our partners use to kind of demonstrate embeddable AI. It is called dsce.ibm.com. You can see in the top bar. It's a short form of something that is very verbose in digital self-serve co-create experience. So let's get started. So once you go there, this will be a quick reference for you on what all technologies IBM has in the embeddable AI space. And we have started adding, if you notice here, some of the Watson X use cases here as well. So before I get to Watson X, let's try some things on how you discover some of the embeddable AI technology. Now you see there are a couple of boxes here. This is a wizard-like experience for you to navigate and find out and try samples and code and so on. Kind of a digital enablement for anybody wanting to use IBM AI. So find and try AI is about data scientists, developers, playing with the libraries and models that IBM provides. I'll show you also the backend, what on IBM Cloud you can actually use to kind of try out these. Then there is also an MLOps persona. So how do you package and deploy AI, right? That will probably take longer to show, so I will not get too much into it, but you can self-navigate. So if I go into find and try AI, let me go full screen on this. Okay. So there are multiple form factors, and I think Geeta and Deb touched upon it. There are multiple form factors that IBM provides you the AI technology to embed. One is in the form of libraries, and there's also in the form of applications. So when you talk about Watson Assistant, Watson Discovery, Instana, even something called Maximo Visual Insights, which works with images, these are all about applications to embed. And when I go into trying with libraries, then it could be about actually a library that you can download and build a local container and work with it in your application. Or it could be also an API call that I'll show you that you can actually use, a remote API call. Now in that we have NLP and speech as a couple of options. So let's go through one of them. We'll go into NLP library and you will see that there are multiple kinds of libraries out there. So there are, I think, 8 to 10 kind of AI tasks that you can use in the natural language processing space. Again, we have not walked over to the Watson X and very large language models yet, but you will see how all of these fit together well. Effectively, it's all on the same, ultimately, a Watson X platform. But this is a journey I'm showing you, which we started a long time back. So you can see if you're trying to build an application around sentiment analysis or emotion classification or text classification, then you could be kind of going to these libraries, picking up some of the pre-trained models and start building your applications fairly quickly. So if I go to sentiment analysis, I'll demonstrate one or two of them for you so that you get the hang of how to navigate and how to start building. So there are options here of either you are working with a pre-trained model, or you want to take a model like BERT and you want to fine-tune it, or it could be that we have a natural language understanding service and you want to simply use a remote API and get going very quickly. This service runs on IBM Cloud, whereas the pre-trained and the fine-tuned part in the library, you can potentially download to your system and build a local container and embed. So let's see on the pre-trained side. If I was building a sentiment analysis application that I actually want to go and build pre-trained. So to take you through a nice experience of learning about use cases, you will see an interactive demo. If I click on this, you can actually kind of see here, I can work with some sample text here. And you can, if you log in, if you have an IBM ID, you can actually go and try with your own data as well. This is before even you have started kind of building something. And it shows you how sentiment analysis works with a backend pre-trained model, given some text. How is it doing sentence level sentiment scoring? So very quick way to get some experience of how does this library and the model work. Now, once you're comfortable that this is what you want to use, you can actually go and download the sample application code. There are GitHub pointers where you can actually go and download the code sample used in the demo. And we have already set up a container in the backend for you so that you don't have to do anything in terms of container setups, and you start experiencing the application and start building around it. Now, we also provide you a sandbox environment, which is on IBM Cloud, which is called IBM Tech Zone. But this currently is only for who have signed up on Partner Plus. But don't lose heart. I mean, that's if you don't have a Partner Plus account, that's fine. You don't have to go and use the sandbox. But you can actually go, and I'll show you on IBM Cloud how you sign up. And you can start using all the componentry that is put in the sandbox. So for example, on the sandbox, the core technology or the component that is used is Watson Studio. That's the offering, where you go and play with notebooks and build your models and so on. That, if you don't have sandbox access, you can always go and sign up on IBM Cloud and get that. Now, I mentioned that you have a sample application here that you can download from GitHub. You'll see the link here to get the code onto your local system without the container, library, everything set up remotely to start experimenting. However, as you download the library after sign up, we also give you the code for the complete notebook. So I have kind of gotten the code opened up here. So you can click on it, takes you to the GitHub to give you the Python code. So you could be a developer who is using my sample code in the beginning to, without setting up a container, without notebooks, get going with a pre-trained model. Or if you're a data scientist, you can come to this GitHub repository from the same result page you saw, and you can take a look at the code that this is a code for using a pre-trained model. Okay, seems to be network speed. Anyway. Okay, this will gradually come up, I hope. Yeah. So anyway, so you will see all the notebooks here in the GitHub page. You will see there are a couple of things. There is a notebook which is working with pre-trained models, and you also see a notebook that will show you how you take a BERT model, and actually you can use your own data to. Okay, it's come up now. So this is the pre-trained notebook. Again, you can go through all of this, right? It uses a BERT model, and there is a notebook also for how you go and use your own data to. Some of the layers you can actually tune in the BERT model, right? You can specify all of that. So again, why did I pick up BERT? Because BERT is a foundation model. So it's not that foundation model is very new. People have been using some of these things, except we are using much larger billions of parameter foundation models now. So let me go back to, so this is what you can use to build a sentiment analysis app. Let me show you one more, because this will kind of give a leeway to how you get into Watson X as well. So let me look at something around text classification. So here, text classification is, you don't have a pre-trained model for this. You have to use your own data to build a model. So this is something around custom training. So here again, one can see an interactive live demo so that you understand how this works. So think of banking customer complaint data set. This is a CFSB commonly available data set where you want to essentially take a complaint and you want to get a classification out of it, right? So using the data you have actually built up a model, and then you can kind of classify it to say, is it credit reporting and with what confidence score? Again, this is all up to you to play with. This is, remember, dsca.ibm.com. Again, here as well, the complete notebook is provided for you, right? To take a look at the code and you can modify. So as you go through this hackathon, you can easily take all of this and start building. I'll show you a quick demo of something which is around classification, but this is where we started using the libraries and the smaller models and also started to bring in larger language models. So think of this as a use case. This is also around a support center where you want to look at classification problem in terms of ticket routing. You want to understand from the, so this is a trouble ticket. Think of a mock-up console where you're having tickets on the left. You look at a ticket and you want to essentially automatically route it to the correct team to look at the problem. Again, from the CFSB open data set. So I have generated a classification from this using a traditional ML model. which has been custom trained, and I've given a custom classification recommendation saying this is credit reporting. However, I can actually go and take the same text, and if I want to enrich that ticket with some summarization information for the downstream agent to kind of solve the problem better, I'm using a large language model here from the Watson X platform, right? Because you don't have good pre-trained models or build smaller models and do summarization well. So summarization, I'm making an API call to my Watson X platform using a large language model, using prompt engineering, and building a summary like this, right? A 2-line summary that can be attached to the ticket for very quick understanding of what the problem is. And then I can easily assign the ticket to the right team. So all of this could happen automatically. I'm showing a UI with buttons to kind of get the workflow, how this happens. But bringing traditional ML and large language models together in the same application. So I leave it up to you, given the limited time, to explore a lot of the other AI tasks here. Again, to reiterate, embeddable AI is about having a lot of these NLP libraries and models and code available for you to try. You can also look at speech libraries. We have text-to-speech and speech-to-text. You can go into any one of them. And again, have an API call or use a library to go and experiment. All of these have interactive demos, have sample code you can download. And if you're a data scientist, you could look at the notebook, right? It's a lot of code for you to go and try. So let me, with that, switch to talking about Watson X and show you something there. But before that, let me walk you through the IBM catalog as well quickly, because you want to understand where to get Watson Studio from and what you should be using. Let me do this. Okay, so once you log into IBM Cloud account, so you should get an IBM ID and login. Once you log into IBM Cloud, pick from somewhere on the left-hand side here, you can pick various kinds of kind of groups of services, like if you're working blockchain and so on, or quantum. Watson is one of them. So to locate some of these software that you want to use on IBM Cloud catalog to start using notebooks and build AI applications, this is where you should go. And you will see there are certain applications here as well as libraries and APIs. So Watson Assistant is something that you can build a chatbot from. There's Watson Discovery as a document repository that you want to do Q&A on, maybe using a large language model. Speech to text, text to speech, if you want to do on cloud and not necessarily download the library, you can take it from here. And then there is the Watson Studio. This is where I was showing you notebooks. If you want to experiment with your notebooks as a data scientist and with various data sets, go here, and you can always go and use Watson Studio and notebooks and build your models or customize, fine-tune your models. Now, that is where any of the stuff that I showed on embeddable AI, this is where you come to and sign up, get the service, get going with it. Watson X will be a little different. I'll get to you also on how to get a trial for Watson X, which actually includes some of these things, like Studio kind of is part of it, right? So let me switch over to showing you what is Watson X and let me see how to get to Watson X first, right? What I'll do is I will start from scratch that I know you can find it for sure, right? So if I'm looking for IBM Watson X here, okay. So Watson X, as we discussed, has 3 main components, right? .data, .ai, and governance. So you should just go down and pick .ai if you want to experiment with that. So here is .ai, and you can explore, and you can start your free trial. You can pick, there's only in Dallas. You must have an IBM Cloud account, right? Use an IBM ID. Okay, I am already logged in, so I will not do this. I'm kind of retracing the steps as you would be doing it. All right, so once I'm logged in, let me go to the direct, what's the next page? So if you are taking a free trial and signed up, this is where you will land up. Right? This is where you will land, right? And you will notice that there are a bunch of things here. So Prompt Lab is what we were talking about earlier. This is what will take you to a studio environment purely for the large language models. If you're talking about the operations part of the models, even the smaller ones in embeddable AI, this is where you'd go. This is essentially auto AI, right? And you can go to data refiner if you want to start cleaning up data. I will not get into this, but pay attention to these two boxes. One is a prompt lab where you will do prompt engineering. And if you are going to go and work as a data scientist with these models in notebooks, with the foundation models, and you want to actually go and fine tune, I think only one available for fine tuning, then you would go into the notebook environment. So let me go here. This is a prompt lab. So this is where you will spend most of your time in experimenting with prompt engineering. So Deepak, I want to do a quick time check depending on how deep I go. How much time do I have? Okay, I'll keep going. So once you land up here, you will actually see a set of models that are available for you. And you will see only 5 here because all these are currently open source models, what we have put in the prompt lab. These have all been legally vetted. Even though we have a Hugging Face partnership, we have put a limited set here because these have been legally vetted. And you'll see models getting added here continuous basis. But these 5 are good for you to get started. You will notice that we are focusing on some of the small to medium size models. You don't find 175 billion parameter GPT model here, right? So you'll see something which is 20 billion at the max and 13 billion, 11 billion, and so on, right? There is one and 7 billion. There's one model available for fine tuning, which will not be in the studio, but in the notebook environment. It's a 3 billion parameter IBM model called Slate. So you can look for that there. So IBM is focusing on the small models for you to fine tune at a lower cost to customize to your data. And these are the medium-sized models that you can easily kind of go into prompt engineering and work with it. Flan UL to 20 billion is what I recommend for you to get started with. And then if it works with your use case, then go down to smaller models and see how small can you go. So now in the prompt lab, you will actually see some examples already provided. Please play with them. The structure of the prompt lab is, if you click on any of these examples, you will actually see how it works. This is an instruction. This is a bunch of input examples in your prompt that you can change. And this is where at the bottom you put in your own text that you want to generate, a summary or a classification label or entity extraction and so on. And when you are happy with your output that this model and these prompts work well, you essentially go to the view code and you can actually cut paste this and start embedding in your application. It's as easy as that, right? And you can also play with a few model parameters here in terms of decoding, right? Do you want a greedy output or a sampling or more randomization? Do you want to give a repetition penalty, stopping criteria? A few things you can experiment with. Okay. So you will notice here also, there are examples on summarization, the 5 dominant AI tasks: summarization, classification, content generation, extraction, and Q&A. So the limited time, what I'll do is I'll take you through in a couple of minutes what is my experience in building some of these applications. I'll show you some example apps that now I have made available on dsc.ibm.com so that you can follow that and get going with your use cases. So once you're done with this, essentially, you have to build apps. And let me show you some applications. So you can look at these applications. You can run them by yourself. I'll show you just one of them. If you go to explore watsonx use cases on dscibm.com, if you go here, you will find there are, I think I put about 6 examples here at this point on different scenarios. A very common one is about a self-service customer assistant where you can start doing Q&A on a sample document. This is about building marketing briefs. This is about understanding insights from conversations in a support center. So let me show one, and I think we will take Q&A and later, and we can show more if there is time. All right, let me show you this one. So think of a customer care situation where you have a Watson assistant conversation happening. It could be over voice. And then once that conversation happens, you want to go and get insights from it, because it could be a virtual agent conversation and the user has said, let me talk to a live agent. Now, when you transition to a live agent, the live agent should know very quickly what happened in the conversation. So I'm using here watsonx.ai APIs and a couple of large language models to take this conversation transcript this has been done using speech to text, right? And then after that, I can summarize it. I can understand the topic of the conversation through a large language model call. I can understand caller sentiment. Remember, you can use a library, very small model. You can use caller sentiment using a large model as well. It depends on whether you need to bring in your data or an LLM's data is good enough. And then I can also do entity extraction, right? In a traditional way, you would have needed a lot of data to build some of these capabilities, including sentiment or key entities and so on. Here, with a little bit of prompt engineering, and you can see what the prompt is. You can actually go to the view payload in any of these applications, and actually you can see what is my input to the model, what model have I used, and so on, right? So this is all done through prompt engineering. In some cases, you can get to prompt tuning, but prompt tuning is not in the GA, so you will not be able to use it. Fine tuning for one model is in the GA. You can try it, but it will be expensive. It will burn your credits because tuning is an expensive operation. Again, there are a bunch of apps. I think you guys can go through it because I've shared with you a page. All of these are here. Feel free to play with it and get ideas on how to kind of build your applications, either with the libraries or with watsonx.ai.
Great. Thank you, Anindya. I think just on time. And yeah, I hope this has given you all a brief view of what watsonx is, what the IBM offerings are on cloud, and it excited all of you to go and try it out. Before we get to the Q&A, let me now call Sunil back to talk a little bit about what are the benefits for all the folks who are going to be participating in this challenge. So Sunil, back to you to talk a little bit about that, please. And you're on mute, so you'll have to unmute yourself, please.
Of course, that will help. Hey guys, absolutely brilliant. You know, I think we are in this world of AI that we've been ushered into. All of a sudden, you know, everybody's talking about AI. Everybody wants AI within the enterprises, and I think, you know, so what Deepak said is, you know, I was going to talk to you about the benefits, but and I could rattle down what are the benefits to the participants and what are the benefits to the people who are going to win, and, you know, the grand challenge and all. I think the most important thing for me is, if I was one of the startups, firstly, I get access to enterprise grade, top of the line AI tools. Secondly, and probably even more importantly, I get to network with some of the top minds in AI across the world. This is not just IBM, but also our business partners, which are included in that. And I think just the two pieces there, it's worth participating in this entire challenge, right? Apart from that, of course, we've got a whole bunch of things. All the participants will be part of the very excellent IBM Partner Plus program. It's one of the best market programs available right now in the industry. We also give $3,000 per month IBM cloud credits for the next 6 months. That's $18,000 worth of cloud credits. That's a lot of cloud credits, right? So those are a few things that the participants will get. Now, the winners, of course, you know, one winner in each category. So I think there are 6 winners, one under each category. Everybody will get a booth out there. in our flagship event, the IBM flagship event in Mumbai, which is scheduled for September 12th, right? It is in Bombay, and we will get that. Runners-up will get to showcase their solutions and engage with IBM's end customers. So we are not just there and saying, oh, this is a challenge, you get some cloud credits and you get some introductions, but we are actually taking you out there to the market. We will also give you coverage from a marketing perspective at our Think Mumbai event. So a lot of things out there, and I think, and I'm sure Deepak will correct me if I'm wrong here, but these benefits, if you want them, we will send them to you so that you actually understand what are the different areas you will get to participate in. Now, the most important thing is for the winners, definitely, we will handhold them in terms of engineering teams and go to market and take their MVPs to the next level. Now, that is saying a lot. And I think this brings a totally different paradigm to the entire challenge, because we're not saying, okay, it's a tic-tac-toe challenge and you go and do a little bit of whatever you want to do and then we all go home happy. This is more than that, right? This is we are really trying to get your creativity, your innovation, open source tools in combination with IBM's tool sets and the expertise of IBM to help you take these MVPs to the next stage. So, you know, if I was, like I said, if I was in one of the startups, I would be very excited personally to jump in and figure out where and what and how I'm going to get engaged and how IBM can help me and my startup to move the pointer to the next level, right? So thanks a lot, team, for a fantastic 45, 50 minutes, really, really engaging. And I hope the participants have understood the motivation of this challenge and are ready to just go in there and rock and roll.
Yeah, thank you, Sunil. And yeah, as you said, it's really something that we're looking to identify some great solutions from all of the startups who are part of this challenge, and be part of the journey of how you can actually grow that and take it to the next level. One slight clarification though, all the 6 winners will be invited to our flagship event. Right. Only the grand prize winner will be getting the booth, where they can showcase their technology and what they have to offer. So yes, with that, I think we are ready to open up for so starting with the question on ethics, which Anindya had responded to, and how what kind of guardrails are available. Anindya, maybe you want to just quickly talk a little bit about that. What are the guardrails? As a quick summary of what you said on the chat as well.
Sure. Yeah. I think in terms of what data these models are built on and also what the runtime has in terms of working with the models, those are a couple of important things when you talk about ethics. Ethics is a broader discussion, but I just limit myself to that. So if you start using it, you will see in the top right corner in the UI, there is something called, I didn't point out during the demo, but something called AI guardrails, and you should turn it on. It's because even if you use any of the open source models, which have been legally vetted, the input and output of those models can actually be filtered based on whether they contain anger, hate, profanity, etc. There's a HAP detector in place, which we are continuously improving. So irrespective of model, there is some filtering that's going to happen. Second is open source models. We have a partnership with Hugging Face, thousands of models, but we legally vet and put models on the platform so that you can be confident if you're using in an enterprise situation, an open source model taken from a watsonx.ai platform has a much better chance in being enterprise ready because it has been vetted. Third is IBM models are only built on IBM data, highly curated enterprise data. And they are small, but they are very effective in terms of answering or addressing enterprise use cases. So I think those are the key things we are looking at in terms of making sure when you put something for the enterprise and you're building on the .ai platform, it's not about writing essays and poems, as one of the panelists said, or for fun. It's for making sure that that enterprise doesn't get sued for what you churn out in terms of a generated answer. And
Great.
follows the guidelines. I mean, I'll take a very quick example to drive home the point again. There's a demo available where we take an open source model and we actually ask a question on 3 nationalities. what is the sentiment? And you get a very negative sentiment rating for one of the nationalities. However, if you take an IBM model equivalent, you get neutral, because nobody should be making sentiment analysis on nationality.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Anindya. There were some comments about some of the slides being a little blurred. We will make these slides available, and you can go through them in more detail as we go along. And as far as the question of how do we get access, so I've already put it in the chat, but we will also make this available as well, some of the websites, both dsc.ibm.com, which is really to try out some of the features that Anindya was showing right in the beginning for embeddable AI, as well as some of the Watson X use cases, but also how to sign up for the Watson X free trial. It'll give you an idea, like I said, you don't have to burn your credits to just try it out and get a sense of what it is. Once you apply for the credits on the website, you will see a link under resources on the nasscom website on how to apply for cloud credits. Go there. Once you get that, you can then try it out. You will also see the pricing available over there as well as part of the cloud catalog. So, you'll get a sense of how, what are the kind of things available over there. If there are any specific questions, of course, we'll certainly provide that. We will also be, as we going along, some questions about, question from Chandan Tiwari: what are some of the data privacy and security concerns associated with generative AI in financial applications? Okay, great question. And how can these be mitigated? Are there any successful case studies of organizations that have adopted generative AI to drive innovation and efficiency in their financial operations? Dave, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I kind of responded that. So essentially,
you have. Okay, sorry.
Essentially, I mean, it's not just for the financial industry where the data privacy and security concerns come in, but I mean, in all industries, right? But obviously, with regulated industries, it becomes that much more serious and much more focused area of discussion. So as Anindya was saying, whether you look at the data lineage, data provenance, what are the guardrails? How can you explain if there is an audit? All of that are as part of the data security concerns. But more so, it is also around licensing and copywriting. So a lot of the open source models may have been trained based on data which is available openly, but may not have looked at whether they have the copyright to do that. And we are seeing suits being filed in the European region as well as the Americas in terms of how their model got trained, to explain how their model got trained. Did they use copyright materials and things like that? And those are the things when Anindya mentioned that we have legally vetted out the models, even if it is open source. Those are the activities that it has gone through. Right? Looks like there is a little bit of echoing happening.
Yeah, there is some weird echo on the line. I'm not sure why, but
So those are the privacy concerns, as well as obviously with regulations around regional privacy and all. Those are again things that we need to take into consideration when we train the models with the right data set and things like that. In terms of success, yes, I mean, look, there are multiple financial institutions, including some of the largest banks in the world, with whom we are working. And we have already deployed some of our products, which are based on the Watson X platform. Watson Assistant, which I referred to in my presentation, has been deployed in, actually, I would say probably 4 or 5 banks already. Bradesco is one of the names that come in mind immediately, which is the largest Brazilian bank. And in fact, today, 90% of their customer support is being addressed by Watson Assistant. And so there are examples within the financial industry, not just in terms of customer support, but in terms of things like straight through processing. When you look at the insurance industry, right? How do you address the straight through processing? Can you make it faster? Can you ensure that there is lesser manual intervention and things like that? So those are some of the areas that we are working on in terms of the financial industry.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. There are a few technical questions which I'm going to reserve for Anindya to answer, but Geeta, can I bring you in on one question on how to use AI? What we think are the implications or applications of AI in e-commerce? If you can, Geeta, you're on mute, so if you can answer that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I would say e-commerce is no different, right? I think anything you do, and I feel nowadays e-commerce companies are actually analytics companies. Okay, because they are largely the aggregators, right? They are not really the manufacturers. Let me put it that way. Largely, I'm not saying that all of them, but yeah, largely they are not the manufacturers, but the aggregators. So I think the amount of AI or the analytics which you can apply in running your e-commerce business will be limitless. Okay, that how you will address that space, because all you are doing is that you're understanding and maybe let's say marrying the product, the consumer, the profiles, all of that, right? And hence then recommending that which product one should be using. So I would say e-commerce is actually a very ideal candidate. You can apply it in the area of product recommendation or a right product recommendation to your consumer, who is your consumer. You can also now actually source a lot of good products, I would say, which you can crawl the web and then figure out that which are the products which are really suitable for your commerce site which you want to offer. You can use it for pricing simulation, right? That what price point is right, because commerce is also a war of price and value, right? Which is there between different commerce sites. So what's the right optimal price point on which you want to offer? You can apply AI in that space. And probably you can also apply AI a large in the area of customer service, saying that whatever issues your customers face, whether it's related to return of the product, delivery of the product, quality of the product, how are you really leveraging AI to respond and minimize the time to respond, right? So as I said, just summarizing, I think for me, commerce companies are analytics companies, and probably they can apply in every part of their business, right? From sourcing to servicing to the pricing part of it from an AI perspective.
Great. And I think that pretty much sums it. AI pretty much can be used in almost every function of the organization. And I think that's where we are. Though we are at the tip of the iceberg and we're still discovering what are the various ways it can be used, right? So, Anindya, two technical questions. I'm saving that for you. One is, does the remote API support JavaScript? Since we don't need Python, our requirement for integration would be through JavaScript. Is that something you can answer quickly?
The remote APIs are basically REST APIs. So you could use anything you want as long as you're calling those REST APIs for the libraries. For the embeddable AI part. And also for watsonx.ai, there are REST APIs, the one I showed you during the demo. Use any language as long as you're calling a REST endpoint. There is also an SDK available. I also need to check if it is made available on the GA. Maybe it's not, but it's going to come out very quickly. But we have been using that in the beta, which is Python and Node.js SDK for integrating watsonx.ai API calls. But I suggest you get started with the REST calls. It's very simple to try in the studio, copy paste the curl command and get going. That's a quick way to embed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I will answer the last question about Watson. Is it available on AWS, Azure, or GCP? Well, you will find some of these offerings on AWS and Azure. They are in the process of being. WatsonX, of course, is brand new, but some of our traditional offerings are available on AWS, and they're in the process of getting into Azure as well. But that said, definitely for the purpose of this exercise, we are certainly looking at all of you using IBM Cloud. Which is obviously the main home for all the stuff that you can get on watsonx. As we go forward, we can certainly talk about how some of these are available. And we would want you to succeed in making some of these MVPs and POCs. And as you're wanting to look to take that market, we can certainly talk more about which of these form factors you can make available. But we are making them available in production across other cloud platforms as well. So one question about, are we getting access to Watson portal? Yes, like I said, couple of ways. One is, of course, you can go to the IBM website, which I've already put. It's ibm.com/watsonx. You can go there and start a free trial. You can try out, this is for the generative AI portion. You can go to dsc.ibm.com, and we'll make these available as well as part of the FAQ, so you can refer to them later. So to actually try out some of the embeddable AI libraries and some of the specific Watson X use cases. Apart from that, of course, once you sign up for the cloud credits, which will be essential for you to be part of this grand challenge, because you will need the credits to build something out and try using the actual Watson X capabilities and the Watson capabilities and embeddable AI capabilities. Once you do that, of course, you will get access to IBM Cloud, and you can try all of these things. One last question I think we have time for. We're already running a little late. Is if AI is employed for candidate evaluation, would it be possible to track the process of assessment? Deb, I'm going to put you on the spot and see if you want to give an answer, of course.
Yeah, I mean, so the assessment itself will be probably developed by some psychometric psychologist and others. So, but yes, if you are putting it as part of your whole applicant tracking system, and then you are trying to evaluate it, you can track it, what all went through, what assessment was taken. So, and again, Watson Orchestrate is a perfect example of how you can automate the whole hiring process as part of your, identifying the right candidates, right? And not just that, right from posting the job into, let's say, into a LinkedIn or Indeed or some, recruitment sites, all the way to scheduling interviews, to, identifying the right candidates, matching the profiles. All of that can be done, because end of the day, these are all skills, right? And as you identify these skills, you can then add those skills as part of our Watson X platform through the product Watson Orchestrate, and then fully automate that process. And once you do that, obviously all of that will be trackable and auditable.
And I think one important element of this is also is the explainability of AI, right? And so obviously when you're using AI to assess candidates, and may not be so much in India, but definitely in some countries which are a little bit more litigious, you may have to explain or have the ability to explain why a candidate was rejected, right? And I think that is the explainability of AI, which is also going to be important, which is part of what we covered as part of the governance story and the trustability of AI, right? Which is going to be very, very important. So yes, it is something that at least our portfolio does provide answers as to why AI has taken a certain decision, and that's something that we should certainly look at for pretty much every enterprise application, right? Mainly because of sometimes regulatory requirements, sometimes legal requirements, whatever it is. And the last question that we have is, I think we've already answered the other two questions that are still open in the Q&A. Access to Watson X, we've already talked about. Remote API, JavaScript, yes. So the last question that I have is, does Watson provide any credit for startup to sandbit testing similar to what Azure provides? Yes, so part of what we have, of course, is the cloud credits that we talked about, right? And that is what we do. Now, beyond that, once a partner is signed up with us as a partner for what we call our build program, or essentially embedding our technologies, we have ways to kind of provide and support you through the whole process of building it and actually taking it to market. Maybe I can ask Sunil, would you like to comment a little bit about that? How we support our partners through the journey beyond, and not just from a Sandput perspective. It is really about the whole journey from building to taking to market.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, like I said in my little 3 minutes pitch that I had on the benefits, one of the key benefits is you will have access, and partners today have access to exactly the same artifacts and information that our internal IBM sellers have access to, and our technical sellers. So Seismic is one of those things as part of the Partner Plus program. So that's just one part of it. So all training, skills development, all of that, same thing that we use internally is available to you. Number two, we've got ecosystem engineering labs, we have got client engineering labs, we've got our developers and the entire development team, most of the development team here in India. So these are teams here who are absolutely 100% focused on helping business partners and clients on their journeys, in their little use cases, and building their MVPs in whatever way they can from a technology perspective. So they will actually be hands-on helping you, giving you best practices, guidances, and guidance and on your architecture. And last but not least, of course, We have the people on this call. So Deb is one of them. Deepak, of course, from a technical perspective, Geeta drives this entire team across ISA, and we will engage as and where needed to take it. Now, this is just the development part of it. What happens after that? We also engage from a marketing perspective. So we help you go to market. We help you handhold you and take you into and open new opportunities from you for you with our customer set, right? That's the whole point, right? This is not just about fantastic, you go develop. Okay, that's not a good business model, because you need to have outcomes, right? You need to go out and ultimately generate revenue streams for yourselves to take this forward. So, it's a full life cycle. This is not a once-off challenge. Yep, I've done it, got the award, thank you very much, put it behind my shelf and and have a picture on LinkedIn, right? That's just the first part of it. The hard slog starts after the MVP is done, to take that solution to the market, to fine tune it, to make it scalable, make it enterprise ready, get a pricing point on it, and then take it to market. So this is as they say, this is the entire enchilada that we help in, and we will be there supporting you across all those facets in the development, build, and sell cycle, right?
Great. Thank you, Sunil. And just to add, once you are officially part of our partner program, you also get access to what we call Tech Zone, which is really our environment where our own technical sales teams, use to demonstrate to customers, to build POCs and so on. So partners get access to that as well. Partners also get access to all of our learning programs. So there's a lot of things that come in with the whole partner program. So yes, absolutely, it is not just a small transactional engagement, as Sunil said. It's really us being part of the entire journey from start to to success for all of us. And I think we are pretty much at the end of all of it. So Madhav, maybe I'll turn it back to you.
Sure.
Close.
Thanks, Deepak. Everyone on this webinar, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to your participation. All the startups and ISVs here. You can visit our website nasscom.in/AI/AI for business. And if you have any further questions regarding any benefits or access to the technology platform and all, feel free to write us at aiforbusiness@nasscom.in. Wishing you all the very best and looking forward to stellar participation. Thank you. Have a great evening ahead.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.